are you saying that guys like me should be denied a podcast because Rory and Mal don't want to show up? Rory and Mal are magnified based on the tornado and hailstorm that is Joe Budden. Unless you know, which you don't know, you can't speak on it. People need to be realistic here. You have to be realistic. And you have to realize who the star is. And you have to be honest with yourselves, because people just don't want to be honest with yourselves. You have to be honest with yourselves with regards to why do you watch the Joe Budden podcast? And many people don't want to be honest with themselves. But if you are honest with yourself, then you will know, yes, there is a reason why I listen to this. And it's because of that one man who you love or hate. Most people hate, but it's because of that dude. So we have a scenario here. Where you have this whole Joe Budden, Rory and Mal thing. So for me, I am a huge fan of the podcast here. So listened for me every single episode. Obviously, before COVID, that is what got me through the work day. So whenever I'm doing my work, I put my headphones in, boom, listen to the episode first on when it was on Spotify, or even back in the day before the Spotify deal, when it used to be on SoundCloud, then watch the visuals again on YouTube, being through all the big moments and so forth. But people need to understand that this is a very big audience out there that Joe Budden has. And not everybody tuned in or views it the same way as everyone else. So what do I mean by that? How did I get into the Joe Budden podcast? I didn't go into the podcast first. It's begun with Everyday Struggle. Before Everyday Struggle, I thought Joe Budden was just this extremely arrogant, unlikable dude. Because I remember when he was interviewed on the Breakfast Club, I was like, who is this dude? I was like, no, this dude just rubs me the wrong way. And I just don't like arrogant people. But Everyday Struggle came along. I don't even know how I even began to view it. But somehow I just got onto Everyday Struggle. And I was like, first of all, it's a great dynamic between Joe Budden, who's more old school, and academics, who's more new school. And it was just great to see the two generations talk about music and musical taste. I thought it was great. So, and I thought Everyday Struggle was an amazing show. Has to be one of the great music discussion shows I think I've ever seen. Because UMTV Raps and so forth wasn't really a music debate show. It was just musical acts. But as far as just music debates, music discourse, I can't think of any shows better than Everyday Struggle. But it didn't happen. But then, so through that, okay, no, this Joe Budden guy is actually pretty interesting. So where else can I see him? And then I landed on the Joe Budden podcast, and then I used to say, okay, boom, watch it and get into it. So Mal and Rory are great. Mal is amazing because he's so real and he's a man of principle who will die for his principles. So he's amazing. Rory is that white friend you're proud to show to other people that, this is a right white guy. Same thing with Parks. Like Parks and Rory are like him, and these are really good white friends. These are not white friends who can get too big for the boots and trying to get slick and so forth. These are you could just tell these are decent people to be around, especially Parks, So what I got from this situation here, and this is what people need to understand, is you're not owed everything. Because I was looking at the Twitter comments and I see people saying that, oh my gosh, we are fans of the show, we are owed an explanation, we have a sports team. No. You are owed an explanation to a certain degree. You're owed transparency to a certain degree. At the end of the day, from Joe Budden's point of view, these are my friends. And maybe some stuff isn't meant for public discourse, And then because it was funny I think where Joe Budden tweeted saying that, look at strangers telling me how I should treat my friends and so forth. And the guy replied by saying, oh no, we're not strangers, we are fans. No. Yes, you're fans. Yes, Joe Budden appreciates you. You're strangers. Have you met Joe Budden? Have you spent an hour or two with Joe Budden? Have you spent several hours with Joe Budden? Have you been to his house? Have you seen his family? How many intimate 1v1 conversations have you had? How many things and activities have you done together? Which is where you now break the stranger barrier and say, oh, I now know you because we've spent a significant amount of time together. If you haven't and all he's done is met you at a meet and greet from a live show, you're still a stranger. Still love you, still appreciate you and everything, but you're still a stranger. You know? Maybe I heard something different, but from what I heard from Joe's explanation was, again, he doesn't have to reveal everything, but from the little that he gave was Rory, there seemed to be a weird energy. And I could almost feel the sort of weird energy that Rory was having, but I just thought, okay, no, it is what it is. But I was like, yeah, Rory just seems a little bit, you know, and if stuff is happening in your personal life, 100%. We are only human beings. So Joe said, this tension is a bit odd and a bit weird. I can feel it based on how much I know you. Take some time off. And then obviously Maul said, who are you to tell a guy to take some time off? And whatever happened there, which we don't know how that's boiled over into an argument. But from what we've been given, is Joe wrong to say to Rory that, hey, relax? Okay, so you, the audience, you just want these guys to really fight in public. So you want these guys to really argue in public because it makes for greater entertainment. This isn't love and hip-hop and so forth where that's what they feed off of. No, these are guys who are genuine friends. And Joe wants to, obviously it's good to have some nice debates and so forth, but he wants to create sort of like a good environment and a good aura when they do this podcast. And if he feels that if that aura is sort of being plagued and being hampered by some things that may be happening in someone's private life, then he's perfectly entitled to at least say, hey, look, for the betterment of this show, to ensure that we give the best possible product to these fans, take some time off, cool off, and come back. I'm not saying that you are suspended. I'm not saying you should get off and so forth. As a friend, chill out, relax, come back when you're renewed and anew. And now this comes back to the reality of like, what is this Joe Budden podcast and so forth? And I'm sure people will lie about this, but I'll ask you this hardcore question. Would you watch a show that's just Rory and Mal? How good will a show with just Rory and Mal do? I think these guys are great. They're amazing. But how good will a show do? Rory and Mal are magnified based on the tornado and hailstorm that is Joe Budden. They work as great supplementaries to Joe Budden. Because of course we love Mal and Rory, but we're really tuning in for this guy that we knew as a rapper, this guy we knew from Everyday Struggle, this guy that we knew from Love and Hip Hop, this guy who's been in the news, and a guy who has an extremely larger-than-life personality. You know? Because the reason why I like Joe Budden is because he is so imperfect. He's so imperfect, and he completely bears himself with all of the discrepancies, all the negative things about him, because he's a human being, and as human beings, we're not perfect. And I can relate to people who are imperfect. I can't relate to people who are perfect. I relate to people who are imperfect, you know. And he is a guy who was open for criticism, fully. But we tune in for Joe Budden. So I say to people, and I see this comment saying that, oh, how can you go on without Rory and Mal? How can you do this? How can you do that? How can you keep on carrying the show with Rory and Mal? I was like, what? So Joe should just... Because remember, Joe has said, oh, Rory and Mal, you can come back anytime you want. We don't know what's happening behind the scenes. See, I see all these people on Twitter assume that they know everything. That, oh no, Joe isn't paying them. This is a business dispute. Joe is holding back. How do you know? How the heck do you know? Sitting in your room, wherever you are, how do you know exactly what is going wrong with these people? You don't know. You don't know. Nobody knows apart from Joe, Parks, Mal, Rory, and whoever is within their inner circle, which we're not privy to. So all this stuff on the internet and everything is relevant because no, you don't, because you have no skin in the game. You have no idea. So But from Joe's point of view is, from what I'm seeing is that, look, Rory and Mal, you can come back anytime you want. We can sort this stuff out. But I cannot. I speak for myself. Maybe not everyone, but I speak for myself. I enjoyed the podcast today. It was actually really interesting, especially when they, what was it that they talked about? When they talked about Lil Nas X and what is and isn't hip hop. I found that really interesting. And this is for me who I actually consumed some of Joe Budden's old videos with some of his friends like Ice, Ish, and all these kinds of dudes. So I'm like, that's actually that's a good conversation, you know? Because I used to call these guys cool, but Joe Budden is such an interesting guy. I want to hear what he says. That's why I watched, the State of the Culture, Everyday Struggle. So are you saying that guys like me should be denied a podcast because Rory and Mal don't want to show up? So you're saying guys like me, so I shouldn't hear what Joe, Ice, and whoever hears around there, I shouldn't hear what Joe and his friends have to say about Lil Nas X, which was just freaking wild. So what are we saying here? I mean, it's interesting to see how this is going to play out. It's interesting to see how I'm going to play, but I just want just to put it out there to guys to say that, do you tune in because of how strong Rory and Mal are, or do you tune in for Joe Budden? Because you're lying to yourself if you say, no, my Rory and Mal, they're essential to the show. Essential is a huge word, because essential means that the show can't carry on without them. I'm sorry, that's a lie. Because I know how popular that Everyday Struggle show was. That was an extremely popular show. And the fact is, Joe Budden is a guy who will always attract viewers based on his personality. Like Rory and Mal, they are great people, and they have amazing contributions, and I love them. They don't have the kind of cachet, they don't have the same kind of pull that Joe Budden does. Because they don't have the same kind of larger-than-life character that Joe Budden does. Like a Charlemagne is always going to attract people based on the kind of character that he is. So, this is not to deny their use. This is not to say that these guys are not worth anything and so on and so forth. But what really bugs me is how people feel that because I'm a fan of something or a product, I am privy to everything. I deserve and I demand to know everything. And I assume to know all, even if I'm not within these rooms. That's the thing that just gets me wild, So, and I get that people grow attached to a crew. They grow attached to certain people and everything. I get that. I understand that. But from what I know, again, I don't know everything, but it's just from what I know, from what has been revealed, Joe is like, do you want to sort this out? You can come back if you want. What's the issue? Let's iron this out. If you don't want to sort this out and you want to keep on going, okay, fair enough. Let's happen, So, but the fact that we don't, even me saying this, I don't even know. All we know is Rory and Mal haven't shown up. And we don't know precisely the reason why. I don't give a crap about your theories on Twitter. I don't give a crap because you guys don't know. So until Joe, Rory, and Mal speak and say they are their pieces, we don't know. All we know is Rory and Mal haven't shown up. And again, even from what Joe has told us, let's hear from what Rory and Mal say. What was the argument between him and Mal? What was the nature of what he said to Rory? All we know is from Joe's point of view, but all we know is they haven't shown up. We don't know the reason why. And I'm sorry, Joe still has to offer a product to people who want to listen. 100% of the podcast fans are not going to say, we will not listen until Rory and Mal. No. A large portion, yes, 100%, a large portion will. But there's also so even if let's say, if let's say 70% say, thumbs down, we will not listen until Rory and Mal come back. Okay, cool. What about the 30%? I know we're less, but what about the 30% who will listen regardless? So we should be denied content based on you 70%? Nah, sorry. No. Because we still want to listen. And we still want to hear what Joe has to say about these topics. And we still want to hear about what Joe and other guys have to say about these topics, So, and even a guy like Ice, which is what people have been saying, he brings something different because this guy is straight down the barrel. He's not going to sidestep over anything because he has no allegiances to anybody. He's completely out of the industry. And it's amazing that you get a person who has no industry ties, which is amazing because no, you're really getting the man on the street's view on something because he has no allegiances to anyone. So he can say, oh, I don't like DJ Premier, I don't like Alchemist, boom. So it's like, that is refreshing. So, but yeah, man, it's very easy to paint Joe as the bad guy. It's very easy to paint Joe as a villain and so forth. But people, unless you know, which you don't know, you can't speak on it.